Hi there. Have you ever felt like you're always saying yes to everyone else's needs, but your own get pushed to the side? If you're in your 60s or beyond, like me, you might notice this feeling creeping up more often. It's like you're on call for the world, but your own energy and time are slipping away. Here's the good news. It doesn't have to stay that way. I'm 65 now, and setting boundaries has completely changed my life for the better. Today, I want to share why this simple act can be a game changer for you too, helping you live with more joy, purpose, and peace. As we get older, something shifts. We start to see time differently, not as something endless, but as a precious gift. Setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out or being selfish. It's about being intentional with how we spend our days. It's about choosing what fills us up instead of what drains us. For those of us over 60, this is especially important. We might be navigating retirement, health changes, or new family dynamics. Without boundaries, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, stressed, or even resentful. But when we set clear limits, we protect our well-being and make room for the things that truly matter. In this video, we're going to explore why setting boundaries is so vital at our age. We'll look at how it helps us value our time, protect ourselves from negativity, and stand up for our own needs. By the end, you'll see why now is the perfect time to start saying no to what doesn't serve you and yes to what does. Imagine waking up each morning feeling energized, knowing your day is filled with people and activities that light you up. Picture stronger, healthier relationships because you've learned to prioritize your peace. That's the power of boundaries, and it's absolutely within your reach. So, let's dive in and see how this can work for you. Let's start with the first reason boundaries matter: time. When you hit your 60s, you realize every day is a treasure. You want to spend it on what brings you joy, not on obligations that leave you exhausted. For me, setting boundaries has meant saying no to things that don't align with what I value most. It's about choosing quality over quantity in how I spend my hours. Take volunteering, for example. I used to sign up for every community event, thinking it was my duty. But honestly, it was wearing me out. I'd come home drained, with no energy left for my grandkids or my garden. Once I started setting boundaries, politely declining events that didn't spark joy, I found I had so much more time for what mattered. Now, I volunteer only for causes I'm passionate about, like reading to kids at the library. It feels good, and I'm not stretched thin. You can do this too. Think about one commitment that's draining you. Could you scale it back or say no? It might feel tough at first, but the freedom you'll gain is worth it. Another big reason to set boundaries is to limit toxicity in our lives. As we age, we sometimes find ourselves stuck in relationships or situations that sap our energy. Maybe it's a friend who's always complaining, a family member who expects too much, or even a part-time job that's more stress than it's worth. These can weigh heavily on our mental and physical health, and at our age, we can't afford to let that happen. I had to learn this the hard way with a relative who was constantly negative. Every conversation left me feeling heavy, like I'd absorbed all their stress. Finally, I set a boundary. I limited our calls to once a week and kept them short. It wasn't easy, and I felt guilty at first, but the difference was incredible. I had more energy for my positive relationships, like spending time with my daughter and her family. It's okay to step back from what's toxic. You're not being mean, you're protecting your peace. Try it with one person or situation that's dragging you down. You'll be amazed at how much lighter you feel. Now, let's talk about self-advocacy. Setting boundaries is about standing up for yourself, saying your needs matter just as much as anyone else's. For many of us, especially women of our generation, we were raised to put others first, to be the caretaker, the peacemaker, the one who always says yes. But at 65, I've learned that taking care of myself isn't selfish, it's essential. For years, I'd agree to every favor asked of me, from driving friends to appointments to hosting big family dinners. But it was taking a toll. I was tired and honestly a bit resentful. So, I started saying no when I needed to. Like when a friend asked me to help with a project that would have eaten up my whole weekend, I politely declined and suggested another way to support her. The result? I felt empowered and our friendship stayed strong because I was honest. Setting boundaries like this shows others how to respect you, and it can make your relationships healthier. Think about a time you said yes when you wanted to say no. What would it feel like to honor your own needs instead? Setting boundaries might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to it. You might worry about disappointing someone or seeming rude. But here's the truth. It's a skill and it gets easier with practice. Every time you set a boundary, you're telling yourself, I'm worth it. And you are. Many folks our age have shared how liberating it feels to finally put themselves first. It's like giving yourself permission to live life on your terms. If you're feeling inspired to try this, start small. Maybe it's saying no to one extra task or limiting time with someone who stresses you out. You don't have to change everything overnight. Just take one step and see how it feels. I promise, it's a step toward a happier, healthier you. Before we keep going, I'd truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart if you could take a moment to like this video and leave a comment if you find it helpful. Your support means the world and helps me create more content like this for our community. So, what's one boundary you're thinking about setting? Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Now, let's keep exploring why boundaries are so important. Another reason they matter at our age is that they help us align with our retirement dreams. Whether you're retired or still working, you likely have goals for this stage of life. Maybe traveling, picking up a new hobby, or just enjoying quiet mornings with a cup of coffee. But without boundaries, it's easy to get pulled back into old habits, saying yes to things that don't fit your vision. Hi there. Welcome back to our conversation about why setting boundaries is such a game changer when you're 65 or older. We've already explored how boundaries help us cherish our time, step away from negativity, and stand up for our own needs. If you missed that, don't worry, this part will keep you right on track, and I'm excited to share more with you. Before we continue, I'd truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart if you could take a moment to like this video and leave a comment if you find it helpful. Your support means the world to me and helps me create more content like this for our community. So, what's one boundary you're thinking about setting? Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Let's dive into another big reason why boundaries matter: protecting our mental health. As we get older, life can throw a lot at us. Maybe it's worrying about health, navigating retirement finances, or adjusting to changes in our friendships or family roles. Without boundaries, it's easy to feel like you're carrying everyone else's burdens, and that can lead to stress or even burnout. But when you set clear limits, you're giving yourself permission to breathe. It's like putting up a little fence around your peace of mind, saying, this is mine and I'm going to protect it. I saw this firsthand with a dear friend of mine, Susan. She was always the go-to person for her grown kids, babysitting, running errands, you name it. But she started feeling anxious and worn out, like she was losing herself. One day, she decided to set a boundary. She'd help out 2 days a week, but the other days were for her. At first, she was nervous about how her family would react, but the change was incredible. She felt lighter, her anxiety eased, and she even started sleeping better. Her kids adjusted, and they respected her more for it. If you're feeling stretched thin, think about one area where you could set a limit to give your mind a break. It could be a game changer. Now, let's talk about how boundaries can actually make your relationships better. That might sound surprising. After all, isn't saying no supposed to create distance? But it's the opposite when done with care. When you're clear about your limits, you're helping others understand how to respect you, and that builds trust. It's about creating a balance where everyone feels valued, not just one side doing all the giving. For example, I used to have a neighbor who'd pop over unannounced, often right when I was settling in for some quiet time. I enjoyed her company, but it was starting to feel intrusive. So, I gently set a boundary. I said, I love our chats, but I'm finding I need a heads up to make sure it's a good time. Could you give me a quick call first? She was totally fine with it, and now our visits are planned and so much more enjoyable. We're closer because I was honest about what I needed. Think about someone in your life who might benefit from a kind, clear boundary. It could be as simple as asking for a little notice, or setting specific times for calls. You'll be amazed at how it strengthens your connection. Another reason boundaries are so powerful is that they help you chase your dreams. At our age, many of us have things we've always wanted to do. Maybe it's taking a trip, picking up a hobby like painting or gardening, or just having more time to relax with a good book. But if you're always saying yes to everyone else's requests, those dreams can stay out of reach. Boundaries give you the space to say, "This is my time, and I'm going to use it for me." I'll share a personal story here. A few years back, I really wanted to get back into painting. I used to love it in my 20s, but life got busy and I let it go. When I hit my 60s, I decided it was time to pick up the brush again. The problem was my schedule was packed with family obligations and social events. So I started setting boundaries. I cut back on some commitments like hosting big family dinners every month and suggested potlucks instead. That freed up a few hours each week. And now I paint regularly. It's not just about the art. It's about feeling like I'm living for me again. What's something you've been wanting to do? Could a boundary help you make time for it? I know setting boundaries can feel tricky, especially if you're not used to it. You might worry about letting someone down or feel a pang of guilt for putting yourself first. But here's the thing. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. When you're rested and happy, you're actually better equipped to show up for the people you love. It's like filling your own cup so you have more to share. If you're just starting out, try something small. Maybe it's turning off your phone for an hour each evening to unwind. Or maybe it's saying, "I'd love to help, but I can only do it next week." These little steps build your confidence, and before you know it, setting boundaries feels natural. I've heard from so many folks our age who say it's like a weight lifted off their shoulders once they start. As we wrap up this part, I want you to remember that setting boundaries is an act of self-love. It's about creating a life that feels good to you. One where you're not just surviving, but thriving. At 65, we've earned the right to live on our terms, don't you think? We've got more to cover, like how to communicate your boundaries clearly and what to do if someone pushes back. So, stick with me for the next part, where we'll dive into those practical tips to make boundary setting even easier. For now, take a moment to think about one small boundary you could try this week. You've got this, and I'm cheering you on. We've been talking about how boundaries help us live with more joy, protect our energy, and make room for the things that truly matter. Today, we're going to dive into how to make those boundaries stick by communicating them clearly and handling any pushback with confidence. Let's get started. Before we continue, I'd truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart if you could take a moment to like this video and leave a comment if you find it helpful. Your support means everything and helps me keep sharing content like this for our community. So, what's one boundary you've tried or want to try? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's talk about how to communicate your boundaries in a way that feels good and gets results. Setting a boundary is one thing, but saying it out loud to someone else can feel a little daunting, especially if you're worried about hurting feelings. The key is to be clear, kind, and firm. You don't need to over-explain or apologize. Just state what you need in a way that's true to you. For me, this came up when I needed to set a boundary with my book club. I love our meetings, but they were starting to run late into the evening, and I was exhausted the next day. So, I spoke up at the next gathering and said, "I really enjoy our time together, but I need to head out by 8 p.m. to keep my energy up. How about we aim to wrap up by then?" I was nervous, but everyone was so understanding, and now we stick to a tighter schedule. The trick was being honest about my needs without making it a big deal. You can try this too. Think about a situation where you want to set a limit. Maybe it's asking a friend to text before calling or saying no to an extra task. Practice saying it in a way that's simple and kind, like, "I'd love to help, but I need to keep this week light." It's amazing how much respect you'll get when you're clear. Now, let's tackle what happens when someone pushes back. Because let's be honest, not everyone will love your new boundaries at first. Maybe a family member gets upset when you say you can't babysit every weekend, or a friend keeps calling despite your request for space. This is where staying calm and consistent comes in. Pushback doesn't mean your boundary is wrong. It just means someone's adjusting to a new way of relating to you. I had this experience with my brother. He's used to calling me whenever he needs to vent, sometimes multiple times a day. When I set a boundary to limit our calls to once a week, he wasn't thrilled. He'd call anyway saying, "Oh, it's just a quick one." At first, I felt guilty, but I reminded myself why I set the boundary: to protect my peace. So, I gently reinforced it. When he called outside our agreed time, I'd say, "I'm looking forward to our chat on Sunday, but I'm tied up now." It took a few tries, but he got the message, and now our calls are so much better because I'm not drained. If you face pushback, don't give up. Stay polite but firm, and repeat your boundary as needed. It's like training a puppy. Consistency is everything. Over time, most people will respect your limits, and those who don't might not be worth your energy. As we wrap up, I want to take a moment to reflect on why boundaries have been such a gift in my life, and why they can be for you too. They've helped me cherish my time, choosing activities and people that light me up instead of dragging me down. They've shielded me from stress, giving me the mental space to enjoy my days. They've let me stand up for myself, building stronger, more honest relationships. And they've given me the freedom to chase my dreams, like painting or spending lazy mornings with my grandkids. Most importantly, boundaries have taught me that my needs matter, and that's a lesson worth learning at any age. If you're feeling inspired, I encourage you to take one small step today. Maybe it's saying no to something that doesn't feel right, or having a kind conversation about your needs. Every boundary you set is a step toward a life that feels more like you. And don't worry if it feels awkward at first. We're all learning as we go. The beauty of being in our 60s is that we've got the wisdom to know what's worth our time and the courage to go for it. I'd love to hear how this resonates with you. Have you set a boundary that made a difference? Or is there one you're thinking about trying? Share your story in the comments below. It's so inspiring to hear from our community. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more tips on living your best life after 60. Your support keeps this channel going, and I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. Here's to setting boundaries and living with more joy, peace, and purpose. You've got this, and I'm cheering you on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.